mess.
Hey, speaking of a mess, I was working on those YouTubes last night. I found us. We have some good YouTubes. I got to get you on camera, though. This thing here has to be preset for your spot. That's the kind of thing of when you're here, then we'd come to you and just stay on you the whole time we're here. Because you're wearing Halloween coral today. You're going to, why don't you just, you know what, can I take a black magic marker on your belly and then make the...
Make two triangles?
No, Kool-Aid. Remember Mr. Kool-Aid?
Yeah.
His face. I draw that on your orange coral tummy. We'll have Mr. Kool-Aid. That's who you could be for Halloween. You could be, right, you could be orange. Kool-Aid was a symbol that life had gotten too easy. Ever since Kool-Aid took over for soda, like sometimes when I was a kid, households didn't even do Kool-Aid. The pitcher of water and how much, there was too much. They just need to buy soda, open it up, give it to these kids, and throw them out the door.
But it was so, it was like, what, 20 cents a packet, and you pour the packet, and then you pour
20
all
cents?
that
What,
sugar.
you know what? It shows how young you are. It was a nickel a pack. It was 5 cents a pack for Kool-Aid.
I'm like, what, 10 or 11 behind you.
A lot. I mean, I'm serious. It was a nickel a pack.
And then also in junior
right, and you had
in
the
junior
straws.
high-
Didn't you get your Kool-Aid out of straws, too? They had a competitor. You'd open up a purple straw and put the powder in. It was grape. Open up a yellow straw, and it was
I don't
lemon.
remember that.
That was a bunch of shit. Trying to rip off Kool-Aid. It was just a rip off
It
of
sucked
Kool-Aid.
when you were really broke, when you only had the rum, but nothing to mix it with, and it's like, get the Rainbow Punch Kool-Aid.
You're okay. So you are a little ahead of me. By that age, I'm sure it was 20 cents. I'm talking about the Kool-Aid. When I was a kid, you were in the store, and you would grab one of each, and your mom would pay for a quarter. You get 5 packs of Kool-Aid.
Wow.
So this is childhood. I'm talking about 1961, 1962, Mad Men era. My point is, that's when we oversimplified ordinary life. If we would have stopped paying attention to ourselves with Kool-Aid and didn't panic, Kool-Aid means everything should be a powder. Everything should be instant. I get that. Because Kool-Aid it got to 5 cents a pack, which made 2 quarts, 4 quarts, pardon me, 4 quarts of Kool-Aid for 5 cents. It's a penny and a quarter, 1.25 cents a quarter. So that's it. If we would have taken care of the correct things since Kool-Aid is the beginning of the end of Western civilization. Because remember, Tang.
I was just going to say
Tang. So that we were hypnotized by the powder. Have to go to the moon.
Here's your orange juice.
Even President Kennedy, who I love, right? The guy who got murdered, President Kennedy, the first one, John. I love him, but it was a little bit wacky that we needed to go to the moon. You know, we didn't need to go to the moon. It's good to go to the moon. I didn't say I'm against the moon. I love the moon. I love that guy just passed away. Didn't Neil Armstrong die? I believe the guy who took the first step for mankind. I love all these guys. They're my heroes. But let's not confuse it with what we need to do. What we need to do is really what Kennedy was faced with, right? You got to get world peace. You got to get civil rights. You got to get taxes down. That's your job. Going to the moon's not really your job. You know, like going to the moon. You know, who told you to go do this? The Russians are up my ass. Hey, there's your next president. Right there. Take a look at him. Read him and weep.
Big effort, and I think they're going to see significant improvements over the last 2 election cycles. So I feel pretty good about it.
And Casey, tell us a little bit about the Latino outreach in both political parties.
You missed it. You're trying, right? Jeb Bush. Jebby, your governor. You are going to be so happy.
If
with
he
him.
runs, he'll win.
He'll walk away with it because he's doesn't look like these 2 idiots now that are, bobblehead red and bobblehead blue is what it is.
Yeah. Once I saw, he came out a couple weeks ago and started doing, he started to endorse Skeletor. And
Who
Jeb
did?
Bush.
Oh, he's got to. Oh, come on. Charlie Crist didn't have a shot. Now, you know what? Charlie Crist had a moment
He's
with the fan.
ahead in the polls right now.
He had a moment with the fan, and it's been every issue comes down to jobs. What are you going to do? Get rid of Rick Scott with jobs. Charlie Crist had no jobs. I don't care what the polls say. It doesn't matter. Your people.
They're both douchebags.
Well, number 2, they both have bad personality issues. But you're not going to fire somebody when there's economic growth. They'll tell a pollster to bust on Rick Scott that they don't like him. They'll say Charlie Crist. But when they're alone in the booth, come on, not even close. Now, what happens around the country? I told Bob Williams exclusively in an interview that I had with Bob Williams on the Bob Williams Show on Starcom, which today if you're listening to us on the other than Starcom today, Starcom people are welcome to find us on other places for the day. They're doing maintenance. But what did I tell him? I said that I believe the outcome of the election will be X. Now, what do you believe the outcome of the election will be? Huge Republican?
Huge.
It is.
Huge.
It's going to be a landslide. It's going to be, they are so fed up with the Ebola mishandling, Obamacare mishandling.
On any level.
Every level.
From your local. I notice, too, when I'm driving around, Democrats don't even put that they're Democrats.
That's what I mean. It's so bad to be with him. It's so bad to be with him.
Yeah.
He's made everything bad. And you say, well, that's not fair. It's fair in the sense that if he were doing well, and like when Reagan was in his second term or Clinton before Lewinsky, if you are doing well, you get plenty of credit. You get plenty of accolades when you do it well, and politicians always jump up and say, I did this well, when they do it well.
Right.
He's not walking around taking credit for anything because he's got nothing to take credit for, this guy. He's always defending everything he does.
Yeah.
You look adorable, I see it's time for you to leave. Your coral... So you called Barbara Corcoran and she picked out that necklace for you?
I don't have anything to do with Barbara Corcoran.
You're wearing her necklace. I saw
would
that.
take some real estate advice from her, but it stops right there.
Well, so you say because you're wearing her necklace I saw on Shark Tank last night. She was wearing that very necklace you have on Shark Tank.
This is old school from a student who gave it to me from Africa or something.
A student gave it. You know what I would like to see?
I don't go out and look for Barbara Corcoran jewelry.
I would like to see Barbara Corcoran on Shark Tank. Like, when the two women always come out and go, well, we work all night in the basement for this business. Will you invest? Always the two that they work in the basement and it's yeah. I would love it if Barbara would look them straight in the eye and say, I'm going to make you an offer. Lift your skirt. Let's go. I'm gonna go down on both of you, and then I give you the money. I mean, let's get honest. You tell me there's no lesbians out there? Get a couple of lesbians in there and let Barbara.
I would take Mr. Wonderful before Barbara.
No, because you got to have the match. It's a match. Gender match. You got to have the girl. It's got to be a three-way.
Well, I'll take Lori then.
You know what I see? You know what I see Barbara like? If you lifted Barbara.
That's not a woman, though. I guess she's a female, but.
Here's what I see. If you lift Barbara's skirt, it would be. I believe you would reveal a light bulb. You would find these bony knock-knees right down the skinny bony knock-knees down the bottom, and then I think there would be a bulbous circle right around her hips, but it would be minimal. I believe her hips are probably a foot wide and 3 feet tall. No, not a foot tall and a half a foot wide.
I see like a gray.
Wait, you're off, Mike.
Gray patch, a gray hairy patch with a big necklace.
There's no gray. She's a blonde.
What does that mean? What does that have to do with anything?
She would.
What do horses? Whatever horses have down there, that's what she has.
You're mean because when I'm at least. My parody of her includes happiness for her. When you do parody of her, I see you being mean-spirited toward her.
Sugar cubes.
I was the one who brought up the oats. No, I said feed bag and oats when I first saw her, but that's mean. But I do that the first day of school. I always say mean things. Then I spend the rest of the semester being nice to people.
But that episode you missed when she was laying body... front down on the mat.
She always like if you need a lie down or a make out or
she's
a dunk
always here.
Remember she had to make out with Kevin? Remember she had to kiss Kevin? The kids invented the kissing stuff for the college kids. It's a flavored lip gloss, but when you kiss, it tingles up. So it's for parties. You give it to somebody and say, hey, you want to try?
So she kissed Kevin?
She kissed Kevin, and then she did a whole thing where she was like puking. She was feigning the throw-up look.
But Kevin really was puking, right?
No, Kevin went in. Kevin's like, come on, and he closed his eyes. and you know what I was going to do? I was going to take a municipal bond and push it right on his closed mouth. Wouldn't you love to see Kevin close his eyes and put a municipal bond? on his mouth, and then poke your thumb through the municipal bond like it's tonguing him, and he'd be sucking on your finger because he would think a municipal bond is tongue kissing him. So what did she lie down for? What was the invention?
It was some kind of foamy mat plus the guy walking.
Hey, hold on, Foamy Matt. He works down the hall. You know Foamy Matt.
Yeah, Foamy. He's a good guy.
Foamy Matt.
She lays on this mat. She turned her head sideways.
To the side, and somebody sat on her head.
And then the guy steps on her. It's a type of therapy.
And I want that therapy. That is the therapy
I'll
I
step
like.
on you.
That's what I'm saying. You have no problem doing it. You're very experienced at stepping on me. How much fun is that?
But it'd be fun physically, really doing it.
No, I mean, and you know what? You could, you're not exactly 68 pounds. So if you stepped on me, I'd get a good workout.
Or I could snap your bones right away.
Well, you see, you miss it with me. I like that. What I like is any crackling of the bone, like a snapping. If you threw a couch at me and it landed on my back,
You'd be a pancake.
I would love it. The relief that you get from that kind of shock, it's a chakra. You know about your chakras? You know about those.
Yes, I do.
Okay. You should try loosening them up sometime. Have you never been to a
You should
chiropractor?
try-
You
you-
believe in yoga, but you don't go to chiropractor. That's crazy. Why would you do it yourself with yoga and not let somebody do it in 5 minutes and get
I've
the
been
hell?
to a chiropractor. Ooh.
That was all effed up right there. You've been to chiropractor. When? In 1968 when you were born? As a 2-year-old?
From the time I was 13 to 15.
For what? A car accident or an injury in
Back,
sports?
lower back.
What? Sports or injury?
Sports.
Injury.
Yeah.
Injury or just playing wrong?
What? F you.
Did you get injured or were you just bad
Who was the MVP at the Nationals?
You were the
I know how to-
MPV. You were an MPV. That's an old Honda.
MP3.
MPV is an old Honda vehicle. Isn't the Honda van was called the MPV at one time? Multi-passenger vehicle, bruh.
God, was I born yet? A Honda van.
You know, when you were born, Japanese was junk. You were born in the era where if something said made in Japan, do you know that Deep Purple has an album called Made in Japan? Do you know
No.
that? Smoke on the Water, the live version, every time you've heard it on the air, 100 million times, the live version is an album called Made in Japan.
Interesting.
They were a huge band at the time. They were a very big band. So this was like their best, greatest hits, all live. There's not, and there could be a new song on there or whatever, but it's basically all the songs you love at the top of their career. Why did they put Made in Japan on it? The play on words, like this is junk. They put Made in Japan because that's what Made in Japan was. It was a punchline. You know how they go, thanks, Obama? Back in the day, they would go, oh, Made in Japan.
Really?
Yeah, the blackboard falls off the wall for the teacher, and all the kids laugh. Somebody yells out, Made in Japan.
So today it'd be made in China.
It'd be thanks, Obama. So I love that. Now, Made in Japan is the most expensive import you can't even afford. You know, when they go take your company abroad, you can't afford Japan.
Right.
If you went to Japan, you'd be like outpriced. You have to go to Malaysia.
But vehicle-wise, I'd never buy American. I'm big Japanese.
Well, you know, I'm open-minded genetically. My grandfather was with Chrysler, and he got his plaque and everything. So I looked at that plaque my whole life on the wall, Chrysler. And they almost went under when you were out partying and I was graduating.
The Iacocca days?
Correct. And Congress did bail them out. It was the first public bailout. But the reason Congress, I agreed with bailing out was it was only money to keep the factory open. It was not enough to profit on. Mm-hmm. It was, here's how you're going to use this money. You keep the factory open and you fix. Because we're not going to let an American car company go under. We know it'll happen. Every other foreign car company will jack up their production and those jobs will be permanently gone. And it was paid back in public. Like every 6 months in the news, he'd have to go back to Congress. Lee Iacocca is back in there explaining his... So he did turn it. It was short, but I'm not going to lie. I'm going to admit when I'm wrong or whatever. It was bad. Anytime you tell business... we have to make sure that you don't go out of business. You're doing a Karl Marx. That is Marxism. Mm-hmm. That is the whole opposite of what we do. You know what they call it when you get older? My age, they call it, it's the exception that proves the rule. The rule is right because in a couple of times it doesn't work. That means it really is a rule. If it works 99.9% of the time, it is a rule. They go, but what about the exception? That proves that it's a rule.
Right.
This comes. It's a tough one, but I loved it because everybody in my family, Lee Iacocca was Italian. My grandfather was Italian. My grandfather worked at Chrysler. Lee Iacocca was the CEO of Chrysler. In my family, that was like Independence Day when they had Chrysler. When Chrysler, oh, Jesus Christ, the United States. This is my grandfather. The United States, that's a good country. They know a difference. And my gramps, whatever, it's good for us on our boat coming to America. So, but you love the Japanese car, and we had the Japanese car come in as a beater. When I was a kid, they were beaters. They were little tin boxes. They made noise. They didn't seem worth fixing.
Were they Toyotas?
Both. Toyota and the other one. No, and what's the other one?
Nissan?
Datsun. Before it was Nissan, it was Datsun.
210s.
That's right. And then they finally
Every
came...
pizza delivery guy had a Datsun B210.
B210. You know why? Jane had one in college. This girl, Jane, smartest girl in my class, had one.
They were reliable.
Jean Gunning had a B210, and she came in the snow from the middle of Long Island. We'd have a big day, nobody came to school, there'd be like 10 kids on campus who made it in the snow, and Jean Gunning was there early with her books and her ponytail and her hot body that nobody got to have sex with. It was disgusting. I used to always look at her and say, this is a crime. She's having sex with nobody.
What'd she do wrong to you? Not give you a piece?
No. We had a friendship. We had an academic friendship.
So why is that a bad thing?
It was a bad thing. She had this perfect body. Nobody's having sex with it. What are you going to walk around every day with?
So you can look at it?
No good. Not in college. College, you don't want to look anymore. You want to know that somebody's banging that if you're not.
Was she a virgin in college?
She was a virgin, and she was not outspoken about her sex life at all. So it was like the CIA getting a fucking secret out of her. And then when the secret would come out, it would always be that she didn't do it yet.
Wow.
And she was 21, 20, and she was monster hot. She had Marilyn Monroe's body. And she had, trimmed down a little, like the young Monroe. And then she had this Irish, freckly, cute face, and she'd need no makeup. She'd come to school with no makeup, and everybody wanted to bang her. Everybody from the guard, good morning, Jean. Everybody knew her because she was so smart. She was distinguishing herself. She accelerated, too. She got out of college in 3 years because she was...
sounds like a perfect fit for you.
Well, it was for no one. And then she starts dating a nerd. At the end, a senior year, she's dating a guy, and you saw, oh, I get it. She picked the most timid little mouse, so he's not going to try and bang her.
She was probably a closet lesbo.
I don't know, man. Or she was just, her finger was moisturizing, maybe the whole time. She might have done it because she might have been like already looking at George Clooney types, already thinking about Robert Redford, because she was going to be a gamer.
Yeah.
When she got in, she was only going to be in the back. So she, believe it or not, went and became a vice president, easy to believe, with her 4.0 and her MBA. She went and got an MBA, and then she became a vice president of Blair Radio that owned 150 radio stations, and she was one of 5 people on the board.
Wow.
Yeah, she was a badass. And then she got married, Connecticut, house, big backyard, all that achievement, and blonde hair, blue eyes, freckles, the whole thing. But it used to drive me nuts that you could smell the Noxzema on this girl. Like, you never smelled the guy's cologne, or you never saw her coming directly from the guy's house and tucking her shirt in, and, she put those clothes on a second time. Nothing. It was always straight out of the bathrooms.
Well, don't hate her for
Dove, putting Dove for women on her face, Dove bar, then brushing her teeth. She was the first person I knew that carried a toothbrush in her purse. First girl, hookers, but I'm not counting hookers that do it. But I'm just saying first normal person, because she used to have a snack in the Rathskeller between classes at the perfect time.
That.
She ate a salad at the right
time.
What's
wrong with that?
Because it's bullshit. Nobody lives that fake, organized life. What kind of life are you living if everything is like, okay, I'm on time. What are you living then? Then you're not living anything. She was like, had no Jack Kerouac in her at all. I was only looking for girls that want to go down to Greenwich Village and figure out the meaning of life, realize that life sucked, stacked again. Again, it came out the other day, not to dwell. 92% of Americans wind up with the same amount of money in the bank account that was in the day they were born. Whatever your parents had in the bank is what you're going to have in the bank. Guess what my father had in the bank when he died?
Zero.
$217 in the Mountain Bank, whatever he loved to go to. He used to go to Mountain Bank. And I was like, and he says to me, make sure now. I said, I got it. Don't worry. And I did the same thing with my mother. I had to find out about all these accounts. Oh, there's $180 over here. Oh, there's $412 over there. I go to my dad's thing. And I said to the lady, I said, my dad passed. And she goes, oh, I see. And paperwork and everything. I said, I'll sign for it. She goes, okay, I'll get you a check.
What were you thinking it was going to be?
Well, I was like, either it's going to be, he's got a ton of money. And
like $11 or 5 digits, maybe?
Well, I was thinking it's something like maybe, right, like 15 grand stashed that some girlfriend had access to, that some girl was drawing down on. So instead it was 217 total. That was total net worth assets.
You
went
got
out with
groceries
217.
and you filled your tank.
But I'll tell you what, he was born into a house, right, during the Depression. So there was obviously, the dad didn't work. Pardon me, didn't have a job, but my grandfather worked all day. What do you think he did illegally in the Depression, my grandfather?
Booze.
All day making beer. And he made beer, and he made it well. So he wasn't making as much as he possibly could and shoving it out the door. He was a connoisseur. So he made good beer. He had 5 clients. He serviced them, and he went home. So J. Edgar Hoover was never coming after the tills. They were just bootlegging politely, very polite. And it was in Manhattan, where there was a speakeasy in Hell's Kitchen where he did this. You did it because there were speakeasies next door. It was the booze neighborhood in Prohibition. It would be like the Rastafarian neighborhood, right? If pot's illegal, you go to a Rasta club, everybody's getting high. So that's what booze was like for the tills. So he's very industrious, but he was not for the money. Mm-hmm. He's the new, when the kids go, I'm doing it for the joy of the app. I just want to make the app fun for my friends, but then I get $1 billion.
Right.
He was, back in the day, you didn't get $1 billion, but he loved his deal. So my dad was born into a household that my grandfather made the money per diem. There was no amount in the budget. It's like, what'd you make today? I made $12. I made $8 because in 1926, $8, everybody has blankets, and they had the coal stove. Mm-hmm. You're going to love this. 5 kids were born on the same kitchen table. One of them got sick when they were like 1 year old and didn't make it. That was very prevalent back then, the one that doesn't make it. That's why you had 5 kids back in the day. So one didn't make it. 4 kids in one bedroom. No, 4 kids in the storage room in bunk beds. Mom and dad in a tiny bedroom. And that's all there was. There was a kitchen, a bedroom, and a storage room that he made into and they all gathered in front of the stove. And absolutely walk over to the junkyard and get a dry piece of wood, put it in there, and we're good to go.
Jeez.
So I'm like, do you realize how brilliant I am? Right? I mean, I'm about as smart as you can get out of that era. And then you see how far this is. You're bitching because you're not satisfied. I'm a typical American male, right? I'm never satisfied.
How backwards it is. Huh? A lot of it's backwards. Instead of making advancements, we've gone backwards.
No. That's a different narrative. I'm saying, if you look at me being as smart as I was born in the 50s, going through all this education today it would be the ghetto in a Catholic school, not getting shot in high school when they were shooting up my school, not getting hit over the head with a chain when they were hitting us with chains. I escaped all this. Then I go to graduate school, radio, and I live in all these cities, right? In the Bronx, nobody leaves the Bronx. Nobody leaves the neighborhood. And name a city. Los Angeles, Chicago, Philadelphia. Pick a city. I've lived there. Yeah. Pick a style of living. 5-bedroom house, California, overlooking the valley. High rise in the middle of Chicago with 3 bedrooms and a panoramic view above the Wrigley clock.
Right.
Okay. Now, I'm an entrepreneur. I couldn't get arrested in any of those cities as an entrepreneur. When you go entrepreneur, that's a code name for give us all your money, and if you have anything left, leave it to the stockholders. So this that I complain about all this. This is actually like a huge leap forward from basically subsisting in the Depression as bootleggers. Jesus Christ. I mean, it was a roll of the dice whether it could happen or not. And all they did, in 9 years, they came up with one kid. This is the era everybody's sex, kids, babies. All my neighbors, Horgan, all the kids I played with, all have 4 siblings, 3 siblings. That was the era. 4 kids, 5 kids. What happened with us? 1. Barely. She couldn't get pregnant for 9 years. Had to be cut out with a C-section 6 weeks early. I was the size of a teaspoon. So the likelihood, right, and that was in the 50s. I had to go in the incubator box.
How much did he weigh?
Nothing. I was tiny. My mother said when you came out, she said you fit in a doctor's hand. She goes, we couldn't do anything. She goes, we had to look at you through the plastic thing. They couldn't hold nothing.
A microscope.
Almost.
Telescope. Where is he?
But let me tell you something. Right, I was the shortest.
Binoculars. Here he is.
Yeah, but what happened? 5'7", I have lightning fast reflexes, mental, eyes, ears, and nose. You can't stop
and everything
me.
works on you.
Everything works, but you can't stop me for fast reflexes. There's nothing. No one. Even when I was a kid, I heard the truck coming first. I heard the boulder rolling down the hill first. I could feel the rain before it falls.
You smell.
I smell everything. I smell everything. People go, when I had allergies and my nose would be stuffed up, I could still smell things. They go, how do you do that? I'd be sneezing, and I'd still go, whose feet? When I was a kid and I drove to high school, some of my friends, assholes, get in the backseat of my car, get a ride to school, take off their fucking shoes in my car. I go, whose fucking feet are they? And they had to put their shoes back on, so I was driving. If I drove to high school, nobody took their fucking shoes off in my car. So I always had a great sense of smell. So I have, the other day I was like, you look at you. I said, you're like this new white American male story. Oh, back in the 80s, you're on top. You're on the covers of magazines. In the 90s, you're a big mogul. You have 2 houses. You go. Now you're in the 2014, and you're like every other guy in his 50s. What? Huh? What? You go, what are you so nervous about? I don't know. I don't have any money for retirement. I don't have 2 cars anymore. And you go, what happened? Well, this big, fat, corrupt corporation. Yeah. So what are you doing? Well, I'm a vendor now. Yeah. So that's a new American story. And once again, I'm right in the middle of it. I am never on the sidelines. If a plane crashes in New York City and takes down a tower called the Twin Towers, Ed Till lives on the West Coast. He does, but he was visiting New York that day. Oh, he was on WOR for Bob Grant that day. I heard that a postal worker went nuts. It's called going postal. Ed Till was at that post office. What? Ed Till lives in Detroit now, and what? Yep. You name it. I'm telling you, man, if there's something going on, all I have to do is open my window, and it's always outside.
Stevie Ray Vaughan?
The fact that I could be introduced to him, and he would die 2 minutes later, there was no other rock and roll legend that would come near me for like 2 years. I don't want to meet Ed Till. He met Stevie, and Stevie was dead 2 minutes later. My close friend from college, it made me the bad luck charm. He's like, walk us to the helicopter. I'm like, sure. I want you to meet Stevie Ray Vaughan. He goes, Stevie, Ed Till. Hey, and right away, I didn't want to go for that guitar hand. So I gently, and he had the softest, and talk about Dove for dishes. Whatever. This guy had the softest hands. That was it. He stepped on that helicopter right in front of me. Yellow shirt, the hat, the whole thing. On the helicopter. And they take off. We don't hear a thing. We're still looking at Clapton. Clapton's eating sandwiches. Clapton has been very hungry. People are trying to talk to him. He's like, oh, you're the greatest. I've always wanted. He was chewing on. He's making himself sandwich. He was standing at the thing, talking to people, journalists, but stuff in his face. It was great. I was watching Eric Clapton. I was paying attention to what he liked: ham, Swiss cheese. He's got the Goldens on there. He's got the dark mustard. He's slapping it around. He's very deliberate. Like he recognized everything. Obviously, it was his food, right? But I'm watching him chow down. And then it's getting late. Then it's like 4 in, and everybody's starting to leave because we had an hour ride in the car back to Chicago. And we got the town car, so all the drivers are standing there waiting for us to come down. On the way to the car, somebody said there's been an explosion, and Stevie Ray Vaughan is dead. Instantly. It's like, what? And meant for me. Nobody, thought of Robbie Brooks first. I thought of my college buddy first. I'm like, all right, I met Stevie Ray Vaughan, but that means my friend's dead? And I had just reunited with Bobby 10 years after graduation. I'll say that right. 15, 16 years after graduation. And we saw each other every day in college. And he was in charge of the concert committee, which was the most expensive budget on student government budgets. He had a lot of money. He got his Fleetwood Mac. He got his Jackson Browne. He got a Sly and a Family Stone. And he had grown up to be a huge agent with CAA. The new agency in Los Angeles was burgeoning, and he got plucked out of ICM. The guy who started, was the famous guy that started CAA, that but is big, but an agent. Yes, Geffen's friend. He's the guy who got Letterman his deal. He's a famous power. He became head of Disney.
Oh, Eisner?
Correct. Michael Eisner. Oh, no, Michael Eisner is the guy who succeeded. There's a third guy in that crowd, and it's the guy, a super agent. Mm-hmm. He single-handedly left ICM, and just because he was the best agent and people followed him, he created CAA. He was going to go alone and just do CAA by himself. Everybody wanted Michael Ovitz. Everybody wanted to be at Michael Ovitz. He was the deal maker of all deal makers. He did the Letterman deal. It's how Letterman went to CBS. So, yeah, Michael Ovitz. Wow. Well, they're the ones that prove capitalism works. David Geffen, Michael Ovitz, Michael Eisner, and even Bob Iger now at Disney. Walt Disney is one guy. That's one guy's thing. That's pretty amazing. I don't think that's... Facebook does not look like Disney. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's people there. They got a cute logo, but I just don't...
Right.
Yeah. Well, this is a lovely coral dress you're wearing. Do you know that? And Barbara Corcoran is going to be so upset that you raided her jewelry counter, because she would like to raid your jewelry counter.
It'll never happen.
She wants to be in your Filene's basement, if you know what I mean. If she was the one who complimented you on being a great realtor, you would be the first one to say, oh, thank you, Barbara, that's lovely of you. You wouldn't go,
oh, of course I would.
Would you give her a sugar cube if she was complimenting you? Would you pull out?
Sure.
While she's complimenting you, you would pull out a sugar cube and to her face and tease her? While she was being nice to you?
What she told me. I'd accept her compliment. But that doesn't mean I'm going to go out and buy gregarious jewelry.
How could you respect her compliment after you've gone, nay? I think once you go, nay.
I'm not going to whinny in her face.
You did. You braid. You're braying when you do that. That's called braying.
I wouldn't whinny to her face. I would accept her compliment.
All right. Well, Bob Williams is going to feel left out.
This
is a day.
Nothing to sneeze at.
No, you know why? Because we had this nice chat without him. Next time we got to have him on the phone and do a three-way with Bob Williams. Especially today, he's sitting there staring at his studio, waiting for the repairman. They're redigging the main cable to town. Oh. No, that's a good thing, because it means once you redig it, no diggity. Who plays better music of every gen? Do you realize we go 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and then I play 2014. Blurred Lines is still my favorite of all the hit stuff. That and Nickelback. I got Robin Thicke, Alan Thicke, or which one do I have? Robin Thicke, and Nickelback.
And Pharrell.
And Pharrell, who's, I think he's in ISIS. I think he's a member of ISIS. Pharrell is. I think he's a spy for ISIS.
What?
Yeah. Look at his
He's the one
face.
who did Blurred Lines. And then remember a couple weeks ago, Robin Thicke admitted, oops, I didn't really write it. It was Pharrell.
Well, not just that, but they took it from Marvin Gaye. They were hitting on, but that's okay with me. Marvin Gaye's song is awesome too. I play the Marvin Gaye version. It's called "What's Going On," right? And the other one is. I mean, they're the same melody, but Horgan says it all the time. There's only 10 notes, 8 notes, or whatever in music. Yeah. All right. So what's Avril Lavigne doing in your house? What is the last thing she's
She is a
played?
zero now. She's non-existent. Her last CD.
No. You're Avril Lavigne.
Oh, my daughter.
You gotta bring everybody down. What if it's your adopted daughter? Don't bring all that up. I'm just saying she's your little Avril Lavigne.
Right.
Okay. When was the last time she played?
Monday
Now
night.
Allison's gonna go. Tell him I'm not adopted.
Monday night she played. She's playing.
Mommy, tell him next time you're on I'm not adopted. I heard the way you said that. That's now all my friends think I'm adopted and lesbian. But when they get your kids, when they get the haircut, they go, "Are you lesbian?" and Allison goes, "Mommy, are we lesbian?" No, we're Baptist, honey.
We're Lutheran heterosexuals.
We're Lutheran, exactly. We're Lutheran hetero.
Yeah.
Ah, Jesus. So the little one, second one, got her haircut. What kind of reviews is she getting? Why?
They asked why. Why did you do it?
And what did she say?
Because I
Easy.
could. Because I wanted to.
And easy, too. You got to admit. Come on. Waking up in the morning now, as opposed to the and the hair in the brush and the thing and the tie it and nothing. Yeah. Now, what does she do?
But sometimes she
take two wet hands?
She'll wake up and go, "Oh, I've got bedhead," and I'm like, "Ah!" That's like it's different. Two different definitions of bedhead, but for her it means
it means crushed hair. It means her hair is. I get something, guys know this thing that she's got now. If you really sleep on one side in the morning, it dictates your hairstyle that day. Your hair will only comb a certain way.
Right. Unless, God forbid, you have to take time out to take a shower and wash your hair.
Or my favorite with short hair is the 10 fingers that are wet and you just push back.
Yeah.
When you have a full head of good-looking hair and you've just gotten it cut short, you can just 10-finger wet-head it, man. And then on the way to work, it dries. And then when you get there, it looks dried, but it's got like a good sheen because you just put your finger. Oh, yeah, it's good. I love short hair on girls. Good for them. Now, what about they're getting no male attention at all. Like
they are. I see it going on.
So what compliment? I'm only interested on the girl side. What compliments they get, and whether they're the right compliments. So have they heard anything favorable that they like? Yeah,
guys are in their interaction in class.
And what does it got? What do they consider a compliment?
Funny. They'll say something funny. Oh, that was funny. That was a good one.
Oh, good one.
Or
good one is good.
Or they'll say something.
Good
the
one
guy
is good.
will say something, and they'll one up and go, "Oh,
good one.
You got me."
No, good one is good because that's a very empowering thing to a girl. When a little girl is told "good one," that's what boys only used to get.
Yeah.
Boys used to be the ones that made the class laugh, and girls were supposed to laugh at the boys. Yeah. When the girls make everybody laugh, and somebody says "good one," that means they got their skills on. Yeah, good, excellent. All right. So what do you have to do? Somebody writing on something?
I am writing an offer on a duplex.
I think they're going to write on it, and I'm like, on her arms? Are they writing on her arms? Are they going to... This offer is intended to stop teenagers from feeling sad. I'd like to write my real estate offer on her arms.
Yeah, this is a contract on paper.
Really? Can't we write it on... what is it to not write on her arms? What's your charity?
We don't have that anymore.
You got kicked out because of me.
We got disbanded.
Because I did it. It's something I did. It was something I did. I criticized you, and you compensated for my criticism, and they took the club away from you. Isn't that what happened? I gave you advice, you took it, and they took the club away. Isn't that what happened?
No, what happened was we're a liability because for what we offer, we can't back up with mental health facilities that are on campus, which there are none.
So you really don't have a cubicle with a person sitting there when the students are thinking about...
We can say, "Oh, you're suicidal." We can talk to them, but God forbid they
Somebody
need
drives
a
them over to
mental
circles.
health
Yeah, but what do you do?
specialist.
Drive into circles of care? You have a car on standby?
We can't do that.
Can't do that either.
So
Can't
now we
transport.
can't do anything.
Let me ask you, what do they advise if there's nobody on campus? You guys are supposed to call 911, or are you supposed to call 211? Who are you supposed to call when a student is crazy?
The provost guy told us to take it to FIT, Florida Institute of Technology. And I said, wait, I'm an instructor at this school for 26 years, and you're telling me to take this club and move it over to another school.
Oh, he's saying that's where they have the thing. Yeah,
they have counselors and psychologists.
Well, it's like Mark Cuban says. You're either going to make that company work or not. If you want to save You have to go where you can save, right?
Well, I'm not saving that.
Anymore. Yeah, okay. What happens to everything that was written on her arms, Nat? Is that does it get washed
making
off?
a mint off that book she wrote.
Does it get washed off, though? When you write on her...
It's
what's
already
the name
carved
of it?
in.
It's called To Write.
To write love on her arms.
I can't even say it with a straight face. Isn't it to be silly in the middle of somebody's real problem? Isn't that what it's called?
No.
Isn't it called silly reaction to a serious problem? Isn't that what writing on somebody's arms about their real life and death deal is? Is this girl alive? Did she save herself and wrote the book?
Yes.
So who knows if she wasn't faking it just to promote the book? She creates a crisis so she can have a heroic story. They all do it.
Are you still alive, Ed?
You know, I'm on a box of Wheaties. They're replacing Adrian Peterson with me. Did you know that? They're putting me on the box of Wheaties. Old guy. I'm old guy.
Are you in your Bruce Jenner decathlon uniform? Or what?
You know, I never liked him.
Are you on your...
I never liked him, Bruce Jenner, ever.
Now he's... Well, the buzz is
Isn't he dating Greg Louganis? Isn't he sleeping with Greg Louganis?
He's looking more like a woman. And then yesterday in the media, the big thing was he painted his nails red.
I saw that. I saw the whole thing on TMZ where he was in a car.
Who gives a crap?
No, what are you talking about? He's a spectacle. It's not the media's fault. He's a spectacle. You're riding around like that.
Why is the media even the whole Kardashian?
Hey, you know what he was doing? I know exactly what Kris Jenner was doing. He was to write on his nails to keep himself from killing himself. Now he's going to write a book. I wrote on my nails. The girl to write on her arms. To write on her arms. To write love on her arms. He wrote to
paint on your nails.
To paint anal on my nails. That's his story. To paint anal. How I enjoy anal. How I feel receiving.
No. You know what the kids do this week for Halloween to their fingernails? Guess what?
Don't tie it into the last subject.
It's not.
Okay, good.
It's a nice,
good. Wholesome? Yes. What are they doing?
You put white polish on your nails, and then you put eyes. You do a ghost.
Yeah. Tell them to start putting up pictures of... they need Sean Cassidy, isn't that? Who is that?
Oh, my God.
Who is the healthy kid that all the girls went crazy for in ninth grade?
It was
ninth grade.
Leif Garrett and Sean Cassidy.
You tell your girls you could choose which one you want. One gets Leif Garrett and the other one gets Sean, and then the two of them, and that will be their intro. Who's going to bring home the first boy and say it's not a boy-girl thing? We're just hanging out. And then who's going to bring home
Gabriella will.
And then who's going to bring home the first boy and sit on the couch? Who's going to be the first one that comes out and sit down, the two of them?
When boys do come over, they sit on the couch.
Well,
or
you know
the doors are open.
Where the two of them will sit together like a little couple. Like, hi, Mommy, I want you to meet Biff. And then she goes and sits right next to Biff. And they look like they sit next to each other all the time. They look very comfortable sitting next to each other.
Gabriella, the shy one.
You think she'll have that? Yeah. And then he's probably going to be quieter than her. The two of them are going to whisper, hi, Gabriella, do you have my homework? Yes, I do. But did you go online? I don't know. It's a new password. Did you see how they're doing the new password?
But then they may have $1 million engineering
You know what's going to happen, right? They're going to be all encrypted. But there's going to come a point where you're not going to...
It's going to be, I think the encryption will pay off.
It will. Allison will feel left out with encryption. It'll be like, why is everybody encrypting everything? I don't... That's not... Why do I have to unencrypt it? You know, Gabriella, look at my encryption project, Allison. Oh, that's good. I drew a cat. That's my encryption project. My cat's winking. My cat winks.
That looked like a cat mixed with a pirate.
She's, I'm sure, hatching some creative project. I think what's going to happen is she's going to stumble over a medium. She's already into guitar. She's into acting. She's into chorus. She's already got the idea that there were things you use to express oneself. I think she'll pop a medium at some point that you're going to go, oh, that's interesting. And then she'll go full into that because she didn't really become a guitar player. She's still herself who plays guitar. Some kids, when they find the guitar, they become the guitar. And you're like, do you go anywhere without that guitar?
Right.
She's healthily using guitar for this. I bet you acting is another one.
She's getting to the point where she can play enough where... What song do you want?
Right.
And
She's becoming adept at it. Right, she's adept. So that's what's good. In other words, she didn't get consumed by it. She consumed it, put it in her backpack. She's still kind of seeing what's up. That's good. Well, when I was 13, her age, I always thought I had found the Holy Grail. Like everything I got into, it was like, do you ever stop with that? Never, I would say, because I'm going to be the best.
What kind of things? Like
The drums? Drums, forget it. Everything was at the dinner table.
My mom played you and my mom should hook up.
How do you know we didn't? Like we're going to tell you? You think me and your mom and I are going to give you a call? Hey, who wants to tell Karen this is... Yeah.
She speaks Russian. She plays the drums. You guys have a lot actually in common.
Those are our code
You both
words.
drink wild turkey.
Don't be giving up all of our code words. We both speak Russian. We know what that means. Yet. You know what? First thing I said to her in Russian was, "You want to go for a walk in Gorky Park?"
That sounds like what Barbara Corcoran is doing down there at Gorky Park.
I will guarantee you, your mother loves that movie, Gorky Park, with William Hurt. In 1981 or 82, William Hurt does an amazing job. It's when we were angry at the Soviets and we think they're going to bomb us every day, and every day their leaders are dying. Like you turn on the news, the Russian president died. In the middle of that, William Hurt does this movie called Gorky Park. It is an awesome movie, awesome film. But tell your mother, say somebody mentioned that movie with William Hurt, Gorky Park, and watch her go, "I'd like that. Put on Elton John." You know. Yeah, I love all your mother. Your mother has a Camry. It's very flattering to your mother's image right away. It gives me impression of respect and dignity. Your mother has a lot of dignity, but she's playful and fun because she likes FSU, and that kid up there is a menace to society. And your mother,
Winston Jamaeus.
And your mother loves Hannity, who's a good friend of mine. Sean Hannity and I are buddies, and your mother and I, I'm sure, would talk forever about Sean. Sean and I, you know what Sean says when he sees me? I'll tell you, you'll get a kick out of this. Sean and I smoke cigars together at the conventions, and it was no smoking in these hotels for a long time. So you have to go to the smoking balcony, and it's a segregation. There's only everybody who smokes. So I come out there, and as I'm walking toward, and he looks the same as he looks on TV. He wears that suit everywhere he goes. His hair's been parted like that from 8th grade. He looks at me and he goes, "Ed Till. Like he says my name 3 times. And I go, "Sean." He goes, "You're a crazy man. You're crazy. You're out there stirring them up now, aren't you?" And I go, "I am." And then we start talking about life because he's into baseball. He's into being a New Yorker. You know, he's leaving. He's going to Florida, taking a show to Florida. Why do you think a guy like Sean, on principle, is coming to Florida? Principle. No state income tax. You can imagine what they do to his $350,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 up there, whatever they give him. They're giving New York State and New York City get a huge bite out of his taxes. A huge. Yeah, New York City probably gets 5%. Mm-hmm. That's pretty big, right? That's $5,000 on every 100 you earn.
Is he still with Fox? He's
He
just
is.
moving the location?
He's going to do a Rush Limbaugh. Limbaugh's been in West Palm Beach forever for the same reason.
Because there's OxyContin.
Well, there's that. Well, because
so
of the
easy to get.
Well, there's no doubt that Florida is good if you're a little bit shady. It's the place you could go bankrupt and keep your house.
Right.
You can go bankrupt and keep your sports car. Like all the house and the first one of everything you get to keep.
Right.
And then if you make $5 million, the state doesn't get any of your income. They wait for you to buy an expensive house and they hit you with, I don't know, what's the highest that property taxes get? In the highest taxation district, what percent would they be paying on the, per $100,000? What's a percent?
So low.
It's tiny.
I'm thinking of a $1 million oceanfront house.
What are taxes on that?
Taxes are probably $11,000 to $15,000.
Exactly. So let's say $11,000 on $1 million. So now what happens? You have $500,000 house, which is to the world a palace.
$6,000.
That's what I mean. So that's 1%.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1% of your house is pretty awesome.